Hello, I'm Brooke Vogelsang, and I'm going to be talking about the lesson I observed last week on Tuesday at Kirksey Middle School for a 7th grade math class. Basically, how the class started, students would file in to the room, and the first thing that they would do is they would look at the board, and there's a bell ringer on the board, and it was basically an equation, and they would have to solve this equation to an equivalent equation or to its simplest form. So the equation could be 6 parenthesis 6 parenthesis 2y plus 2 parenthesis plus 4x, and they would have to find an equivalent equation, which basically is just filing it in and combining certain variables. So that was what they were introduced to briefly the class in the day before. So she started it off the lesson with a bell ringer so that it could refresh their brain. And then during the class, they were given multiple different equations that they would pretty much have to do the same thing because the lesson, I don't know the actual name for it, but it was basically that they needed to solve the equations to the simplest form, or the lowest it can go, which I know is not the terminology, but I cannot for the life of me remember what that's actually called. But yes, she gave multiple equations where there would be two constants with y's, and then one with an x, and so they would have to combine the two y's and then bring down the x, and that would be their final answer. And then one of the times she had 1/2 parenthesis 2y plus 4 parenthesis plus 6x, and they would have to know and remember that you're supposed to multiply in that 1/2 and then simplify it down to the simplest equation it can get to. What I really liked about this lesson, though, is that after each equation, she had 2 students come up and show the strategy that they used and how they solved the equation. And so it showed students that were observing their peers up by the board, different ways that they solved it. So let's say student A solved it this way and student B solved it this way, so that the students could see that there's different strategies they can use. And let's say a student's oh wait, I like that strategy they use, I'm going to try that next time for the next equation, and if it is easier or works better for me, I'm going to start doing it that way. So I thought it was really cool that she allowed students to show how they solve stuff, and that others could observe. And then she also helped if students were kind of off base. She was just walking around the room constantly and giving them feedback and stuff, and then she also had them turn and talk to peers to compare answers and stuff and strategies, which I really liked. The idea of the student collaboration, I really liked that part of this lesson. But yeah, that's what I observed this week at Kirksey, so thank you.